All righty, guys. I'm getting my Facebook page open here so I can see your questions and comments. So I want to be able to respond when you guys ask questions about stuff. All right. Getting there, getting there. There we go. All right. Well, we'll give everybody a couple seconds to get connected to the After Schrock here before we get rolling full-fledged. But thanks for joining us here. I know that a lot of people were up late last night on the 3rd with their fireworks, whether you were participating or just a victim. I try not to be that whiny neighbor, but on June 28th, when my neighbor 2 houses down was shooting off like window pane shattering mortars at 10 o'clock at night, after the 4th time I put my son to bed, I walked down the street and we had a neighborly discussion, very pleasant. He was very nice. But then he was like, hey, can I do one more? And I'm like, my kid's already up. Sure, why not? Doesn't matter. Any of the other kids in the neighborhood might still maybe be asleep. Sure, fire off another one. You're missing the point that it's not very neighborly to rattle kids' windows panes at 10 o'clock at night when there's littles asleep, right? So the 3rd and the 4th, though, it's, I don't expect. We just let them stay up late. We just let them stay up late. So then Dad stayed up late, and now Dad gets up early on Sunday, and then it's time. I woke up this morning. My wife wasn't in bed because one of the other littles must have woke up. So I'm like, I don't know how much sleep she got either. So anyway, I'm not going to complain too harshly. All right, so some things to do today on the show. Number one, guys, I put a contest link in the radio show. Some of you may have noticed it in the comments. Some of you maybe not. This is a promotion that's going to go big time live next week. It's basically our Best of Omaha promotion, where we're going to give away a laptop. It is the Resolute laptop, which we have confirmed is Windows 11 compatible, and we're going to give one away. And all you have to do to enter the contest is vote in the Best of Omaha. We can't even confirm who you vote for, but if you click on the link that I posted in the comments here, it'll take you to the page where you can get entries in the contest. So voting in the Best of Omaha is like the entry point. You have to do that. So you do that, you get 5 entries in the contest. And then you can do other things later, like we'll have a Facebook post you can share. But one thing we added that was new this year, you can upload a picture of yourself at a Schrock location. So we want you to take a picture of yourself at one of our locations. Try to get like a Schrock logo or something tech in the background, or take a picture with one of us. I don't care, but make it an interesting picture if you could, and then upload it to us. And we're going to use them on our Facebook or our Google business page, basically as pictures from customers that are in our service centers of different things. So it's kind of funny. It's a way to get some additional entries in the contest that's really easy. Anybody can do it. You don't have to have a social media account to do it. Everything else is pretty much based on a social media account. And last year we had a lot of people that grumbled there wasn't any way to really gain extra entries if you didn't have a Yelp account, or you didn't have a Facebook account, or you couldn't share the post, or you don't have a Google account. You can't review us on Google without a Google account. So this gives those people one option that they can do without any social media accounts whatsoever, just to upload a picture of themselves at a Schrock location. All right. Let's see. Go into comments here. Good morning, Blake. Winston, thank you. Appreciate the audio check. Good morning, Thor. Thanks for you and Jeff's help. I really appreciate it. Hey, no problem, Mary. When Jeff kind of briefed me afterwards, he was like, "Yeah, I didn't have her move it to BlockFi." I'm like, "Why not, Jeff? That was the whole reason she called." And he said, "Well, the fees were going to be higher than the interest she would earn in like 2 years." Oh, the cost of moving the Bitcoin was too much. I didn't know how much Bitcoin you had, Mary. So it was like, okay, so it didn't make sense to move it, but I was really happy that Jeff didn't just blindly go through the steps and say, okay, now do it. You're going to lose money, but do it. He made the right call. So that's great. So when you get a little bit more Bitcoin in that account and it makes sense to move it, at that point you'd want to move it over. Happy Independence Day, Mark. I will spare the bad jokes today in honor of the holiday. Oh, wow. Powerful stuff. Back with you, coffee in hand. Good to have you, Roger. Ronald, good morning. Thor, just asking, last week you said Bitcoin was going to drop. Do you still think they'll drop? When and how much? Well, hey, here's the thing. I said if it drops below 30, then you really need to buy. I have a weekly buy set up. I'm buying every week regardless of the price. And so I'm basically dollar cost averaging my Bitcoin buys. So yeah, I would totally buy Bitcoin at this price. I would buy it at, what is it this morning anyway? I haven't even, that's how tired I am this morning, that I haven't even looked at Bitcoin yet in the morning when I was doing a story on the price of Bitcoin. 34,000, let me see, I'm refreshing just to make sure I have the most recent price. 34,600, up 3.62%. So let's see, in the last 24 hours, boy, there we go. The last 24 hours we had a low of 34.2 and a high of 35.7. So last week we had a low of 32.4. Last month we had a low of 28.8. So, but that was before I said what I said. So it could always dump back down again. Never underestimate the ability of the Federal Reserve to FUD their way through anything. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. FUD. We're going to regulate Bitcoin. We're going to regulate crypto. We're going to make it illegal. We're going to, because we got to stop these ransomware gains. Blah, 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 blah. The Bitcoin hash rate is dropping. Does that mean the security of Bitcoin is at risk? Back to you, Mark. You know, there's going to be FUD. But yeah, the Bitcoin network did have a huge difficulty drop last week. In English, what that means is it gets easier to mine Bitcoin. But here's the thing. China basically outlawed mining, which caused a 60% drop in the capacity of the Bitcoin network to process transactions, right? When that happened, 60% of the capacity gone. There were no bailouts. There were no bankruptcies. There was no gnashing of teeth, loss of retirements. Didn't happen. Imagine that. When you have real money that's not fiat money, and there are real consequences to real market decisions for real people, people make good decisions. But when you have a nanny state holding your hand all the time, that BlockFi account's not FDIC insured. That bank could fail, and they're not FDIC insured, so you don't get your money back if it fails. Wouldn't you rather put it here where it's safe? Well, how much risk are you willing to assume for a 7% return on your money annually? Oh, by the way, the interest compounds monthly. I mean, it's nuts, right? It's how saving used to be back when a lot of us were younger. But it's certainly not that way now. And that's what scares the hell out of the Fed. Because if savings accounts are earning 7.9% interest in the real economy, that means the interest rates being charged on loans need to be, prime should be at 15% right now. If we were normal, prime should be at like 15%, 14%, and instead it's at less than 1% or 3% or whatever it is. Yeah, and if your credit card is prime plus 27%, your interest rate on your credit card should be 40% almost right now. It's nuts. The world is literally upside down. So anyway, video keeps cutting out on me on my computer. It cut out a couple times here as well. It could be the studio internet. I mean, we're broadcasting pretty well here. I'm not getting a lot of dropped frames, which is what is my technical benchmark, Aaron. I have 0 drop frames for the After Schrock so far, which means I've had a perfect internet connection so far. So it could be your connection there. Maybe a firework hit a transformer in Albuquerque somewhere and, cause the internet to hiccup. Welcome aboard, Richard. Mark, after 5 years of my ASUS router, it stopped notifying me an update was available. I can update the firmware if I manually check if one is available, though. Hard to remember. Yeah, it is. Set yourself a reminder on your phone every 3 months or something, or every quarter to check it. So it's long enough for you to forget the reminder is there. Or you could tell your A-word assistant to remind you of something 3 months from now. I don't know how far out you can set reminders, but that would be kind of funny. Please tell me the computer that I bought last December will work with Windows 11. I've been seeing my desktop icons jump around regularly, so I presume Windows is downloading their micro updates again. If you're talking about the holiday special, it is compatible. The holiday special will be compatible. So that's good to go. Laptop and desktop are both compatible. However, it will require us to make some modifications to the motherboard's programming. Nothing that we're going to charge you for, but the next time we see it on a maintenance check, we're going to modify that. So it will take Windows 11. We have to turn on TPM and virtualization, and once we turn those things on, you'll be good to go. Having a weird problem with my laptop. twice now on the screen. It has inverted itself inside out and upside down, and the cursor inputs are reversed as well. The last time I noticed it happened when I was scrolling on my touchpad. A reboot solves it. I don't know, you might have if you have a convertible, like one of those ones that folds like a tent, those have the ability to flip the screen and rotate it. So maybe there's a sensor that's glitching somewhere. But if it's happening specifically on your touchpad, John, do you happen to have one of those, one of our holiday special laptops from last year that has the screen for a touchpad? Out of curiosity, there might be a command to do that on that screen. All right, I know you're thinking of creating a Bitcoin tutorial. Name a couple sources of good Bitcoin advice. Oh my gosh. Richard, I've thought about this and thought about this and thought about this. So the first logistic issue I had, I can talk to you about Bitcoin all day long and I can tell you what companies to use that I think are okay. But what it comes down to is, what we learned with Mary, people need a step-by-step instruction. First you click here, then you click there, then you copy this, then you paste that. The problem is I can't do that without exposing important details of my own crypto accounts. So it's like saying, I want to give you a tutorial about how to deposit money in a bank account, or I want to give you a tutorial on how to deposit a check using your phone through your bank account. But to do that, here's the login for my bank account, and here's how much money I have in my bank account, and here is how much I transfer and other addresses I transfer to and from. Just details that I don't want to have out there. So that was my first legit problem. How do I make a tutorial where I can't, and you can't open fake accounts because everyone's got know your customer laws now. I can create a Bitcoin wallet, that's true. I can't create a fake BlockFi account. And I certainly wouldn't deposit money into a fake BlockFi account just to show you how to do it, because I'd never get the money back out. So it was kind of a challenge there in that regard. Well, yeah, Erin, I appreciate that. Saving my loose change every time she goes out and does stuff, and she's hoping to be able to go shopping at Schrock in November or December. That would be awesome. We'd love to see you there. So anyway, yeah, so the whole Bitcoin thing, it's not going away. Let's put it that way. In 2008, we had a market crash, right? And the world went upside down. But then it stayed upside down and kind of stabilized that way. So upside down became the new upside right. Well, now we're like, oh, the world's all upside down again. Who's to say this isn't going to stabilize and become the new upside right? It's not going to happen quickly, and it's not going to happen painlessly, but eventually it will. But the question is we don't have anything to benchmark this against. We don't have anything to say, this is normal, and we are way up here off the chart. We have no baseline. We have no control to compare to because every currency is inflating at the same time. So Bitcoin, it has an inflation to a point where it naturally inflates up to the maximum number of coins. And at that point, there is no more Bitcoin. There it is. You've heard me say before, if every Bitcoin that is ever going to be made, and it's going to take until 2080 to mint all of the Bitcoins, but if every Bitcoin that's ever going to be minted was suddenly minted today, we have a quantum computer, woo, it did it all at once. There is not enough Bitcoin, right, that it ever will exist for every millionaire on planet Earth today to have one Bitcoin. That's pretty scarce. That's a lot more scarce than gold. A lot more scarce than gold. Now, but it's nothing real, right? It's crypto. One EMP bomb, and suddenly crypto's weird, right? I'm not so sure about this anymore. Well, one EMP bomb, and suddenly your dollar's weird. Don't know so much about that anymore. Because we all know you have your entire retirement account in dollars in your wallet, right? Do you get a paper statement anymore? Or do they send you an e-statement that you store electronically? One EMP, So people who say, like, it's fake, it's not real, it's just ones and zeros out there. Your entire life is ones and zeros out there right now. And it's getting more so every day. So, yep, I'm a stacker too. Don't get me wrong. I've got some stacks. I try to keep in each piece of the puzzle, but it was really eye-opening to go car shopping and find out that that my wife's lease had appreciated. That's not supposed to happen. The car dealership is not supposed to owe you a ridiculous amount of money when you turn your lease in. That's not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to be able to take a truck you drove for nearly 2 years that you put 37,000 miles on and take it back to the dealership and trade it in for a brand new custom ordered truck. That's not supposed to happen. The world's upside down right now. Oh, and Woodhouse, at Baxter at least, the reason that you can do this stuff at Baxter is because they are, on the new vehicles, they have a policy where they do not charge over MSRP, ever. They're not going to give you a discount off of MSRP, but they're not going to charge over MSRP. Because Ford tells them what to sell the vehicle for, right? This is like the maximum amount. And Woodhouse, where we looked at cars the other day, who we ended up having to actually buy a car from, is more than willing to sell them for $5,000-$6,000 over MSRP. They did us a solid, knocked it down to only $2,500 more than the car is actually worth. Why can they do that? Because they had the only vehicle in a 1,000-mile radius that was exactly what my wife wanted. So that's why they were able to do that. They know that. Baxter could do the same thing, but they just choose not to. Now they're playing. It's not altruism, right? They're playing the long game here. You want to get a new car from Baxter. Baxter wants your used car, because the used cars have no problem selling over MSRP. I bought a Ford Ranger from one of my operations, from my operations manager. I bought it last year during the pandemic. It was a 2019 leftover model, brand new Ford Ranger, right? Got it for a great deal, $33,000 for a Lariat truck. Okay, that truck now is worth $46,000 used with 24,000 miles on it. So literally, my son is going to turn 16 in about a year and a half. Want to go look for a car for him? They're saying chip shortages are going to go through 2022 at least. So, wow, that's a year. So he's going to be looking for a car within 6 months of that period, right? His birthday is in August. So 2022, yeah, literally, right at the tail end of that. So if used car prices keep doing what they're doing because there are no new cars because of the chip shortage, is he going to be able to get a car? At some point, the manufacturers are going to figure out they can charge more for their cars based on what the used cars are selling for. So Baxter wants the used cars on the lot because they can sell those for a huge profit right now. So they want your trade. And so they're willing to sell you a new vehicle at MSRP to stand out, to be the good guy, so you get the ability to sell your car for more money than you possibly thought, and then you get to cash in on the other end. Woodhouse also tried to shortchange us on the lease return too. They only wanted to give us $9,600 back instead of $12,000. So we said, no, we're gonna literally take it over to Baxter and have them write us a check. We'll bring the check over. It's stupid. Why would we? So it ticked me off that we had to buy that car because it was the only one, because I didn't really appreciate how we were treated. Woodhouse is a good company. It's just they don't have the same rules that other places do right now. So anyway, it's just something to look at. Look at your car values, guys. Everybody checks their home equity value, but when's the last time you checked your automotive equity? Why would you? No one in the history of ever has had automotive equity. Literally, you could have bought a car 3 months ago, used, and you could sell it now for more than you bought it for. You could have equity in a used car that you bought off a buy here, pay here lot. It is ridiculous what's going on right now. But you may as well cash in on it because that's all you can do. But when you have a control, when you have a baseline like cryptocurrency, then you know what's going where. So now the challenge here is, how do you value crypto? And this is where it gets complicated. Everyone says, how much is crypto going to be worth? Crypto's crash, right? I have the same amount of crypto as I did. I have more crypto than I did 3 months ago. What crash? You can't magically lose your crypto. It doesn't magically go away. You don't magically lose it. What crash? Oh, you mean the dollar denominated crash. You mean the fact that you can't get as many dollars with your crypto as you used to be able to get with your crypto. I understand. Yeah, that's an anomaly. That's gonna. Don't spend your crypto. Go get some dollars and spend those. Use that for your funny money. Never spend your crypto. The United States leads the world in cryptocurrency adoption. The United States leads the world in Bitcoin ATMs. We don't see a lot of those around here. But when I was on the East Coast on vacation in South Carolina, every gas station had a Bitcoin ETM in it, or ATM, excuse me. What is a Bitcoin ATM? It's a machine that you can go up to and exchange your Bitcoin in real time for cash. It spits out cash like an ATM, but it takes Bitcoin from you. So you basically, on your phone, it gives you an address like a QR code. You scan it with your app on your phone, and you say, how much Bitcoin do you want to send? And you say, I want $100 worth of Bitcoin to go there, and the machine spits out $100. It's a Bitcoin ATM. We don't see those a lot in Nebraska, but literally it's creeping, and its fingers are getting into everything now. So you've got funds buying cryptocurrency. You've got major companies buying cryptocurrency. It's getting to the point where you can't de-spider it. But the thing is, the government's pretty secure that they can FUD their way out of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Like, oh, it's risky, it's dangerous. All evil ransomware companies, that if we got rid of Bitcoin, they wouldn't have ransomware. You know, we could do all that. If we got rid of the dollar, we wouldn't have ransoms at all, right? The logic is stupid. So the stable coins are what really has them concerned, because that's the value of the dollar. The value of the dollar is what everyone considers stable. You go to work, you get a fixed hourly rate or annual rate in dollars. It's stable. But they can quietly erode your purchasing power. They want to just do it 2% a year, because in 2% in a year, no one's going to notice that, right? You pay a little bit more for something, you get, because your purchasing power is eroded, no one's going to notice. But 2% this year, compounded on 2% additional next year, compounded on 2%, except it's not 2%. And it hasn't been 2% forever. In the investment world, they'll tell you to basically assume 4% inflation. And sometimes it's even higher than that. Look at used cars right now. So if your question is Bitcoin going to become a replacement currency for the dollar? Basically, is it going to be a competitor for the dollar? China was very excited to promote Bitcoin mining, Bitcoin equipment manufacture, everything to do with cryptocurrencies in China, when there is the possibility that the cryptocurrency could be a threat to the dollar hegemony. Okay? Now that China has seen, oh, shnikes, look at what crypto can do. Our people want it. We can't control it. That's commie bad. Can't have that. So we're going to create our own cryptocurrency. But on our cryptocurrency, it's going to have this cool feature called an expiration date. So if your social credit score falls too low, we can just expire all your money. Huh. Doesn't exist anymore. If we want to stimulate our economy, we don't have to print a bunch of new money. We can just expire a bunch of old money. You better go spend your money before it expires, because you're going to get anything if you don't spend it, so don't save. So yeah, with our cryptocurrency, with our central bank cryptocurrencies, we can still manipulate the economy the way we've always have. It'll be amazing, and everyone will have crypto. It's so trendy. But to do that, you can't have a competitor that's better. So you know what everybody did? They gave everybody in China test money. They gave them these digital yuan. You know what they did with the digital yuan? They bought Bitcoin. China didn't like that. China can't control Bitcoin. So now Bitcoin bad. Bitcoin mining, done. 60% of the entire infrastructure of Bitcoin disappeared in a 30-day period. One of the reasons the price is down is because that factors in, the security of the network factors in. Those miners aren't going away. They're just moving to other countries like Kazakhstan or the United States or Europe or Russia, where Bitcoin mining is encouraged. Once they're there, they'll set their miners back up, they'll come back online. So this is transitory, because we're literally dealing with how fast can you move machines to one place to the other and get them all set up again with infrastructure and power. It's going to take a few months, right? So if the central banks can't have competition with crypto, stable coins are super scary. Because, okay, we set aside some money for a family vacation, right? We're not gonna go this year because the mask stuff is crazy still everywhere. We're gonna go next year maybe. So we'll see how it goes. But we're gonna put that money aside. But it's stupid to hang on to thousands of dollars in cash in a bank account that you don't need to hang on to, because the government's just eroding it. So instead, I bought stablecoin and stuck it at BlockFi, where it earns 7.9% interest. Okay? I did that at the end of last month. It was like a week in there. I got $100 in interest payment from that, for having it in there for a week. I mean, and it compounds. So now I have $100 more on my principal than before. It's like, remember saving? Where your savings, like there's no more powerful force on earth than the power of compounding interest? Benjamin Franklin? Like, yes, compounding interest is powerful, both for you and against you. Credit cards are the opposite. Compounding interest against you. All right, let's see here. Okay, when will you be back on KFAB 2 to 6? You're clearly the best person they've had. If I'm technically labeled a fill-in, so if they don't have somebody to fill a slot, they'll call me. There it is. So I can't, guys. I want to do it. I really, really, really want to do it. My wife is terrified because I really want to do it. And Thor, usually when he really wants to do something, he tries to find a way to make it happen. But there's a problem. As lovely as the KFAB audience is, there are lots of other people in the city. And right or wrong, being a pragmatist here, there are people who believe that KFAB is just full of a bunch of racist conservatives. Right? Any host on KFAB is going to get roasted as a racist conservative, even if they are not racist or conservative. It's just, that's the nature of the beast. And there's going to be some people that absolutely love them and some people that absolutely don't. If I did that show and I did it well, let's say I did it well, I'm going to have to take positions on things, right? And I'm going to have to say things that may or may not be popular with the wider audience, wider meaning the woke audience, right? But you see, woke people have computers too, and they break, and they need some place to go to take them to get fixed. And I don't want to have my company canceled and my family's income damaged, and basically everything I've worked 22 years for shambled because I wanted to go on an afternoon talk show. Even though it would be really fun to do, and I'd have a blast doing it. Then there's the time factor. And then there's the financial factor. Well, they're going to pay you to do the show. Believe it or not, guys, there's not a ton of money in radio. The salary is really low usually for radio jobs. And you make your money on endorsements. So I would have to have people willing to have me endorse their products on air. And of course I would do that for products I believed in. And you can charge, some of the people get $200 or $300 a commercial for every individual commercial they do live. So you have 4 hours a day. You're going to do 2 of those a day, 3 of those a day. You do the math. You're up to $100,000 in income pretty quick. The problem is, if you end up getting a situation like what happened with Chris Baker, where you make a mistake, a bad mistake, but you make a mistake, and your house is burnt down for it. Literally, your house is burnt down for it. I have a nice house right now. And then again, being a pragmatist, the risk in maybe I can thread that needle. Maybe I don't make a mistake. Maybe I'm just perfect. My wife tells me I can't do accents. She says, you're not good at them, number one. And number two, they just sound stupid, so don't do them. And I think they're funny because they're so bad, right? That's what makes them funny. But you can't talk with an accent right now on the radio if you don't have an accent, because that makes you a racist. And every single thing you do will be sound bit and chopped. And do a Google search online, you'll find it's all out there. Watch on Facebook. Anytime Scott posts anything on Facebook, he's got people that laugh about it, and then he's got these trolls that come along and blow him up. And there's always going to be trolls, right? The problem is the trolls are perma-trolls, and I just can't risk the business for that. And so it's just not the right season of life for me, I don't think. With that said, I would be honored to fill in anytime they need somebody to cover a shift. It's truly, there is nothing like the experience of being on this station. It is truly amazing. And yeah, they need somebody good in that time slot. They really need somebody good. It's the drive time slot, which of course, because of COVID, isn't as big as it used to be, but we'll get back there. But it's the drive time slot. You got to have it. And so you got to have something. You had Limbaugh's time slot, which is up in the air. Then after Limbaugh, you had somebody, you wanted to hold that audience, so you have another show right after that to carry that audience through drive time until 6 o'clock when you shift into your evening network programming. Yeah, I don't envy Scott's position right now, having to hire all this stuff. And then on top of that, nobody wants to work right now. Nobody wants to work. So what do you do with that? Oh, yeah. Commercials that were recorded. We have one commercial lurking in the system during the Schrock show that still talks about endpoint. And we've been trying to track it down. But, like, literally, I never hear it in my headset. I'm always doing something else when the commercials are on. And they're just background noise. And everyone's like, there it was. And I'm like, what was it? I can't find it. So we're just going to start slowly re-recording all the commercials. All right. All right, so anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap here? Because I'm going to have to wrap it up and get going home because I got to get ready for our company party. Can't load it all in the Love of Kimberly. I got to help out a little bit. Yeah, if there's any last call for questions, anybody's got anything. But I hope everybody has a safe and happy Independence Day today. Also, try to call it Independence Day. My wife pointed this out to me because the 4th of July is like her #1 favorite holiday, right? See, I just did it right there. The 4th of July is her favorite holiday. That's like saying, December 25th is an important day for me. It's Christmas. It's not December 25th. It's Independence Day. It's not July 4th. It's Independence Day. So if you go around and say, Happy Independence Day, people look at you like, oh, yeah, it is Independence Day. That's why we're doing this, right? I suppose it'd be like on Christmas going around saying Happy Jesus' birthday, Everyone's like, what? Is that what this is? It helps to remind people of things. With cash sitting in BlockFi, which would you buy? Well, Ronald, if you had dollars sitting in BlockFi, US dollars, I would immediately change those into USDC. So you earn 7.9% interest on them. And then if that's nothing else you did, you could let that sit. If I had money in there, I think Ethereum is poised for a jump. Bitcoin is going to get an upgrade that's going to allow it to do smart contracts like Ethereum. It's going to take a lot of time before that really kicks in, though. So I think your short-term run here, the next time when Bitcoin recovers, it's going to get popular again, right? And this is the same. If you look at the 5-year chart of crypto, a 30, 40, 50% correction is completely normal for Bitcoin. This is not an anomaly. This is not a crash. A crash was during COVID when Bitcoin went down to like $3,500. I bought a Bitcoin for $4,000. I'm looking like a king right now. I ain't selling that Bitcoin. The tax implications of selling that Bitcoin, woo-wee. So I would make sure it's at least in USDC, in stable coin. And then if you're patient, you wait for the dips. It always dips. There's always a correction. You're never too late. People, it was up at 20,000. It'll never be below 18,000 again. And sure enough, it went down to 3, right? When it went up to 60,000, oh my gosh, it's never going to come down. And then all of a sudden, here it is at 28,000 in the last 30 days. So there's always a correction. There's always a dip. So there's always a way for you to buy in at a lower price. But if you don't want to try to time the market, which I'm not good at doing, if you don't want to try to, if you have cash on hand, you can take advantage of, like what I did when I bought a $4,000 Bitcoin. If you don't have $4,000 to buy the Bitcoin, well, that's great. It was an opportunity, but you couldn't take it. If you're more interested in just creating a systemic pattern of investing, then I would recommend dollar cost averaging. Take however much you decide to do, a few hundred, $25, $50, $100, $200, $300, whatever, and you make a monthly purchase. Leave it in USDC. So the thing is, I believe that Bitcoin is going to be worth a lot more money 5 years from now than it is now. We're looking at I'm thinking $1 million a coin, guys. And at what point, if you're in Bitcoin because you think it's going to be $1 million a coin, and that's legit, you're going to turn it back into dollars at $1 million a coin, right? Makes sense. If you're into Bitcoin because you believe that someday financial transactions will happen in Bitcoin just like they happen in dollars today, that it's going to be a future currency for international settlement, for example. If you believe that, you're a fool to sell your Bitcoin. Literally, I was talking with a friend and I said, this is crazy. Our grandkids are going to look back at this time in history and they're going to say, wow, I wish I could, the opportunity, I wish we had opportunity like that today. You know, I watched this series a few years back called The Men That Built America on the History Channel. Great series, highly recommended if you have the History Channel premium service, you can go look it up. But it's like Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan, Carnegie, like these huge entrepreneurs that built these amazing businesses. Like Rockefeller started with nothing in a little hut of a house, and he built this amazing oil fortune, right? I wish you could still do that. I mean, and you still can. I mean, look at Zuckerberg did it. You know, look at Google. Look at Jack Dorsey at Twitter. You could still build amazing fortunes. Look at Elon with Tesla. You could still do things and build amazing fortunes in America. But wow, it's so much harder now. So much harder. And they always say the first million is the toughest, right? Because after that, you have the money to take advantage of opportunities when they present. So it's always good to have some liquid cash on hand so you can take advantage of opportunities. But when you do, be ready, because it's going to go up, and have a mind toward the long term with this. You know, if you're investing because you want to grow your dollar-based retirement infrastructure, nothing wrong with that at all. Bitcoin is going to be an amazing vehicle to do that, especially over a 10-year window. It's going to blow the stock market away. It's going to blow the housing market away. It's going to be amazing. If your goal is more of a crypto purist, where you're like, I want to have the most Bitcoin possible, then don't mess with stable coins. Then you take and you put everything into Bitcoin or Ethereum, one of those two. They're the two big dogs. They drive the market. As Bitcoin goes the entire market. Ethereum sometimes trades differently because it has different properties to it, but I would recommend having both. And here's the reason why. On BlockFi, they pay their interest in the currency that you're invested in. So if you're in USDC, the stablecoin, US dollar stablecoin, you get your interest paid in USDC. If you're in Bitcoin, your interest is paid in Bitcoin. So you get more Bitcoin. So if you think Bitcoin's going to be $1 million next year, not next year. If you think Bitcoin's going to be worth $1 million in 2025, completely possible. If you think that's possible, and you earned $100 in interest, would you rather have your interest in a $100 bill or $100 worth of Bitcoin, which will then compound next time around and compound again? So yeah, you can take your $100 now and then watch the government, whittle away at it over the next 5 years, or you can take it in Bitcoin and watch it hopefully skyrocket. And then you're earning even your interest. Yes, you might have a small amount of interest earned, but that small amount of interest is outsized because the value of the coin has gone up so much, again, as measured in US dollars. Depends on your investment objectives, I guess. What is the symbol for that coin? The USDC. USDC is the symbol for the USD stablecoin. There's lots of stablecoins. There's USDT is the Tether stablecoin. They don't do that on BlockFi. It's USDC, and it's the American one. USDT is only available in Europe. A lot of reasons why, mostly regulatory. USDC is the one you're looking for. I mysteriously lost 2 rubber feet and couldn't figure out why. Hold on a second. I think I missed a comment here. Do you see issues with laptops losing the rubber feet? Yeah, those rubber feet can fall off. It's just adhesive. It's double-sided sticky tape holding them on. When we glue them back on, we will use just a dot of crazy glue. Rubber cement works as well. But you can go on eBay and you can buy replacement rubber feet for any laptop. They're available everywhere. Everybody scrapes them off the bottom. They sell the bottom housing and they sell the rubber feet separately. They part everything down and sell it separately. Yeah, the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin is BTC, thank you, Greg, and Ethereum is ETH. All right. All right, guys, I got to roll out. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Please, one more time, I'm going to post this link. If you want to enter the contest to win a free Resolute laptop from Schrock, it's not the laptop in the picture. That's why I didn't go live with the contest today. We need a new graphic. So we're going to put a new graphic, and then it'll be on the Schrock homepage and everything else. But if you want to get in early, you can start doing this stuff, and you can start getting your pictures lined up. We're going to have lots of people coming into the shop, and they're like, yeah, send. But I don't even know who gets those pictures anyway. Don't send us any inappropriate pictures now. You bring your dog or something. That'd be cool. But yeah, take your picture at a Schrock location, upload it on the form there on that page that I just linked to, and it'll be another way for you to get a few entries in the competition. All right, guys, thanks a lot. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you watching the program. We'll see you again next weekend for another exciting edition of Compute This.